Welcome to Consider Yourself Hugged. I'm Tami.
I'm Michelle.
I'm Gracie.
And a hug is a gesture intended to convey a sense of care and support, safety, intimacy, and affection. And even though we can't wrap our arms around you, we want you to consider yourself hugged. But I never thought about this concept of drama really until, when you and I were talking a few weeks ago. And if you, listener, watcher, have not, you can go back. I'll put these links in the show notes. But we did a series when it was just Michelle and I on women in the news. And we did. And we've had a lot of listens on that. And so we did think there was some interest in like how we react to people in the news and big things that are going on. I mean, it's, I guess, a human thing to just be curious, right?
Yeah, absolutely think so. And just, we're communal. We want to understand and conversate and all that. And
so what about the Jason Aldean? Oh, you probably aren't finished. Go ahead.
No, I am. I was actually getting ready to circle around back to that. The thing about, and just to give a brief kind of look at what happened. And again, kind of looking at these two things from the perspective of not deciding whether Miranda Lambert, Jason, whether they were right or wrong in what they did, even though we did talk a little bit about that. But,
we did. Yeah.
So just the way it was kind of handled from a media perspective, both of them created a lot of media, lots. And so Jason Aldean did a song called Try That in a Small Town.
We'll put a link in the show notes in case.
Yes. I'm from a small town.
You sure are.
Very, very small town. And from what I understand, when the song came out wasn't when the controversy hit. It was when his video came out.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed some news clips of some things that had happened recently. I don't even know if recently, that have happened over the past years in the news. And there were some undertones in it that people really felt like had some negative messages. And so, and plus he recorded the video not too terribly far. It's like a couple of towns over from where I am in Columbia, Tennessee, in front of I think it's their city hall. And because there's like a backstory to that particular town when it comes like some ugly like things race wise in the past. Yeah, that was even more of an inappropriate thing for him to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so and that's a very brief description of what happened. There's a lot of narrative, just like with the Miranda Lambert thing around this. He basically handled it by coming out and saying there's nothing in this that is prejudice, that was meant to be derogatory towards anyone in any way. And
that's that.
I think that,
and by the way, we'll put, I think Michelle's point too, in part here, is it would be a whole nother conversation to talk about the issues that were behind all that. And that's not what we're talking about here.
No.
So, but we'll put links in case you want to watch it or go read more about it. We'll put those in the show notes.
I mean, and the thing is, I've heard some of the song. I may have listened to the whole song. I'm not sure, just kind of in preparation for this. Being from a small town, do I think small towns sometimes handle things differently? Do I think the town I'm from, small town, Hills of Tennessee, handles things differently sometimes? Yeah. But at the same time, like what we're talking about is more the way these two things were handled in the media.
Well, in my town, we have it's not small, but I think our population is maybe 14,000. Maybe when Michelle used to live in the town where I live now. And I'm sure it was probably 7 or
Way
10 when
more.
you know, 5 or yeah. So yeah, yeah. So tell me, so did you ask me a question? I don't think you did.
No, but asking, kind of moving on to
Oops. Dogs. Do you
the
hear them?
next. Yes, I do hear them. I wish I could see them. To the next question before we kind of wrap up. This
Okay.
question is, have you experienced unhealthy drama? And how do you tell the difference between unhealthy drama and drama where you, like, as you were talking before, something that you're passionate about, that you're setting a boundary about, that means something? Like, what does unhealthy drama look like in your opinion versus?
Yeah. Well, and even when I was talking before about with the boys, my reaction was definitely unhealthy. It was not, I guess my point then was just that but it was still coming from just a place of pain and care, but it wasn't good. And so I don't know, sometimes in the moment, I know in that moment, I wasn't recognizing it as, could you hold on? I might not cut some of this out because this is part of real virtual life, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When we have the 2 dogs. So anyway, so your question was like recognizing unhealthy versus just setting boundaries. Are you talking about like in my own self or with other people?
Both, and kind of thinking back to that definition,
Yeah.
dramas, things that are exciting, emotional, and unexpected.
I don't know the answer to that question. Will you talk first? I
Yes.
don't know. I don't know. My mind is not processing that.
I think that for me, like, learning unhealthy drama versus boundary setting, like, I think it feels different at my age now. And so when it's unhealthy, when there's lots of stuff going on around me that I'm being pulled into, that I really can do nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've talked before about, like, the concept of codependency and trying to be caretaker for other people's emotions. And I do think in that case, you're kind of prone to getting into more people's drama, getting pulled in it. But I think that it feels different in the aspect of that feels very draining and negative and, very, it's an energy stealer. It's very up and down.
Yeah.
Whereas drama involving boundary setting, even when people are unhappy about those boundaries, and even when there may be what people consider drama because people are talking or there's negative things being said, it feels different. It feels like I am taking care of myself, what I need to take care of. That's kind of how I distinguish
See what you're saying.
the difference. Yeah.
All of these things are so related too. And I have to tell you that when we did the codependency, that was so helpful for me, that conversation that we all had. And gosh, I hope you watcher, you listener, I hope you get as much out of these like as we do, even just being here with each other, because I am trying that, telling myself that I don't have to be the caretaker of someone's emotions, and I don't have to just maintain my sense of joy and happiness if they are full of joy and happiness. That's huge in being able to take a moment and ask for something or say that something is not right or have a conversation. I have a friend, Beth, Beth has been on our podcast before. Beth Johnstone, who wrote I Can Even Dance. I'll put that link because that's great to go back.
Amazing. story. She
And
has such an amazing story.
she does. And she's so humble and, genuine. And something had happened like a week or something ago. And I called her and I said, I have a bone to pick with you. And I was, of course, kind of laughing. And so I told her what it was that had happened and we talked about it. And she's like, I'm so glad you called me and said, I have a bone to pick with you because I want to know, I want to know if something has happened. And so we just had this really great conversation. But I really think part of that was just all the conversations that we have and relating it to this topic, being able to just speak up about something without, not that I would have done this before, because I really try not to do this, but going and telling somebody else because you're so ticked off about it and having this dramatic moment with a friend about what happened. And it really wasn't even that big of a deal. But I mean, just being able to speak up and have that unexpected conversation, that unexpected, maybe even a little bit emotional without it having to be the big negative drama, if that makes sense.
You just made such a good point there about how, like, when we do, like, the more people we drag in, the more dramatic in a negative way it's likely to become.
Yep.
So just kind of that old,
just like the media that you just talked with Amanda and Jason, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yes, it's like the more, and it just goes on and on and on and snowballs. And when you go to that person directly to talk through things,
it takes the drama out.
Yes,
yeah. And then it's just kind of boring.
Well, and one of the things that I remember advice you gave me years and years ago, you gave me advice about a book that you had read and used, the Power Phrases book. And I feel like that's powerful as well. Like, how do you stop drama? I think that some of that kind of stops drama in its tracks. Would you tell us a little bit about that? I know you've talked about it before.
Yeah.
You have it right there.
I have it right there.
And I didn't tell you I was going to ask you.
No, you did. I have it. And in the back, it's not even one of those books that you have to read, but here's the part that was empowering for me is in the back. She has all these sections like diffusing and responding to anger, expressing anger, complaining effectively, and the one that I talked about so much, the story that I won't share the whole story, it's too long, but I was working with another trainer and she had said something nasty to me in front of the whole room of like 100 women. It was a women's conference. And on page 281, and the thing is I had been really studying these books because we sold them in the back of the room. And let's see maybe it's on the next page. Because this section is called put downs, responding to put downs. Okay. So I changed it. But she said something nasty to me and I said, what would make you ask me something like that? And so it was a question. Now my heart was racing. My face was red. I was embarrassed. I had to pause a minute and find that phrase. But language is hugely empowering. And that's been a big deal for me.
Yeah, I think that book can definitely be life-changing. I mean, because it will stop the narrative kind of in its tracks. Yeah. And there was another phrase I remember that you had talked about how, like, if someone was being very derogatory, and you would remember exactly kind of the phrase from the book, but it's about when someone's being very derogatory or and then you respond to them, well, that came off as being very condescending. Is that how you intended it?
Oh, yeah.
And so very rarely do people know what to say back to that.
Yeah. And I'm sure not perfect at it, as I have shared. But gosh, knowing that, and we talked like with you, I don't want big drama in my world. And, what you said a minute ago about the more people you pull in, but it's also that, we bond over that. We bond when we're together and we're excluding someone else. I live Big Bang Theory.
Mm-hmm.
And Mayim Bialik has a podcast. I have listened to a few. I may post a couple because one was Kunal Nayyar, who plays Raj. And then there was a couple of other, and it was really good. I won't say that it's one of my favorite podcasts, but anyway, but I love Big Bang Theory. And there's an episode where two characters, Bernadette and Amy Farrah Fowler, are talking about Penny, and Amy is a neuroscientist, and she's like, ooh, she says something about, bonding and leaving someone else. I'm paraphrasing, but we're going to bond and we're going to leave that person out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's true, because then that makes you two closer. It brings you two together in your own little tight knit. By leaving other people out, the two of you become closer, and got to be careful about that.
Yeah, definitely.
So that drama can feel good.
Mm-hmm. Can definitely.
Yeah. So what do we, I think we'll probably chop this into a part 1 and a part 2.
Yes. I don't even know how
Our
long.
friends. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going on like 50 minutes or so. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It always goes in different directions. It always does. And the fact that that's why I love doing this so much. And I hope the people who listen, even though I know we're a little bit scattered, but it's not like we don't have a plan. I could even show you the document that Michelle sent, but then it becomes organic. It becomes real, and things in our mind, there's more to it than just what's on a piece of paper. So when you just said that you remembered power phrases, and then, I remembered when you talked about codependency, I feel like it's just growing me to be here, with you and to talk about this stuff every week. And Gracie too. She's not here today, but.
Yeah. Me too, definitely.
Yeah.
Any last minute thoughts on drama, the week, Miranda Lambert, Jason Aldean, anything?
Woo. Well, I think if I had to say like a bottom line, as I'm thinking about this topic, and what strikes me is the interconnectedness of all of it, of all of it. Like if you're young, if you're watching, listening, and you're 20, then your experiences, the things that you've learned so far, are going to be different and not as extensive as someone who's on here who's 40 or 50. So take every opportunity that you can to learn language, to get in touch with your mind and grow that, and think about your responses to when you think about drama. Are you the person who sucks it in? Are you the person who tries to diffuse it? Can you be a leader in the world? I think that's what strikes me is all the reasons that we might want drama. Is it because, we're in that codependent relationship? Is it drama from someone else? Just really getting in touch with what it means to you and whether you want to change that in your life. Maybe we should talk sometime about some steps to maybe some tips.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And what about you?
I think, just to follow up on what you just said, I think that, using it for good versus, just creating more division in people. I think, can we use things that are emotional to bring us together rather than like tear us apart?
And choosing, that's kind of what you said. If you're saying use it for good, it means that you make a choice. And if you do have an overly dramatic response that you feel was not helpful, apologize or work through that, or follow up on that. It's okay to be.
And if you're in the up and down cycle of something dramatic and unhealthy, decide what boundaries are going to help you move out of that to like a more positive place for you.
Do you think that like the original Boundaries book is still a good one to post a link to, or do you think there's a better one?
Oh, I still love the original one.
Okay, we'll post that link.
Yeah, there's probably, I should probably research some follow-up ones, but that one is still, such an insightful book.
Yeah. Crucial Conversations is good too. And so is Power Phrases. So we'll post all that. I think Boundaries has follow-up, like Boundaries for Parents, Boundaries. But if you've never read any of them, I think so too. Okay. But thank you for being here. And we've mentioned this a couple of times that we're seeing our numbers really go up. So thank you so much. Subscribe, download, share. I hope you all know how much that really does help the show to grow, whether it's Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. Be a part of our women's private Facebook group if you're not there. The link is in the show notes. Both of our information is in the show notes, along with Gracie's, and all the things that we talk about there will be there. So that's all I can think of.
Perfect.
All right. We hope you feel hugged at the end of every one of these. And so we'll end it off with our, you said everything that I say is epic.
Yes.
Okay. And I said you too. So we'll end it off with our epic ending. And until we're together next time, consider yourself hugged. Awesome.